Do you ever feel drained, empty, and like all the work you do is just never enough? Today, we're going to explore those feelings and discuss whether or not you're actually prioritizing the things you claim matter the most to you. Welcome to the Leadership Coaching Group's podcast. I'm your host, Liz Howard, an entrepreneur, author, and executive leadership coach. This is where I introduce you to the top experts that discuss the burning topics that leaders at all levels need to know about. My goal is to help you become a leader that you are confident others will want to follow. So, subscribe to the show, listen in weekly, and watch your confidence as a leader grow. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This show is currently airing at the very end of 2019. Can you believe how quickly this year flew by? At any year end, I know most of us are focusing on the ever-popular New Year's resolution. But before you decide on your resolution for 2020, let's make sure it's something that, one, is really important to you, and two, is something that you might actually stick with. To achieve those two goals, I want you to get really clear on your personal priorities. Now, this may not be quite as simple as it sounds. Here's what I mean. When you listen to most people talk about what their priorities are, the amount of time that they actually consistently invest in those things can sometimes be a little bit light. And when that's the case, I find that people tend to feel drained, empty, and not as satisfied with life as the people that really walk the talk of putting the priorities that they claim first. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. I want to challenge you to spend some time with this episode when you have the ability to sit down with a pen, paper, and at least 30 minutes where you can focus without being interrupted. But even if you're driving or on a run right now, don't worry, you can still listen to this episode and start to think about some things and come back to it when you have more time. All right, so grab a piece of paper and fold it longwise in the middle so that your paper forms two columns. On one side, I want you to write down what you believe your top 3 priorities are. For many people, you'll see things like family, spirituality, and some personal passion or hobby. Your list is very personal, so write down whatever is real for you. Now, in the other column, write down the top 3 things that take up the most time in your life. I want you to try to get a reality check here. If you have a partner, mentor, or really good friend that you trust to look at this with you, ask them how they believe you spend the most time. Another way to do a sanity check here is just to keep a time journal. All you have to do is write down how you're spending the majority of your time throughout the day, and then lump into big categories what's taking up the most time. It's often a little bit alarming to see that our day gets sucked up by sometimes rather menial tasks. Now, I want you to take a close look at how you're spending the majority of your time. Are you spending much time on the things that you list as a priority? Is there a lot of overlap, or are there some big gaps instead? The way we spend our time is a reflection of what we are truly prioritizing, far beyond words. So when you're setting your resolution for the year, is there a priority of yours that needs some more attention? Or maybe there's a subcategory to one of those priorities that might really make a huge difference. What do I mean by that? Okay, for example, you might say fitness or wellness is a priority to you. And perhaps you go to the gym as much as you feel is right. But maybe you're so stressed that you're causing your body injuries or you're sleeping really badly because of the stress. Has your fitness or wellness really been fully addressed in that case? Maybe not. So the subcategory to work on isn't the gym, but it could be stress, just as an example. Try to dig deep here and see where you might have some gaps in living in alignment with your priorities. And listen, we all have those gaps. And that's why we aren't looking at more than 3 priorities, because otherwise, this would be far too difficult to manage. TLCG's subject matter expert in leadership, Richard Rickenberg, has a great framework for keeping your priorities front and center. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show so far. You know, TLCG does more than just podcasts. We work with organizations to help minimize internal conflict, maximize productivity, and help support current and aspiring leaders grow into the most effective stewards possible. Reach out to us to help with individual issues, team issues, or to be speakers at your next event. The best way to get in touch with us is just to visit our website at theleadershipcoachinggroup.com and send us a message through our contact page. All right, let's get back to the interview. TLCG's subject matter expert in leadership, Richard Rickenberg, has a great framework for keeping your priorities front and center. While he was a captain on a submarine during the Cold War, he used to have his team write down the top 5 things they needed to accomplish in a day, and they were to keep that list, an actual paper list, in their shirt pocket. This list would generally take the entire day to complete. So, when someone outside of his group would ask one of his sailors to do something else, the sailors were always allowed to say yes. However, they would have to say that the new request would come at the expense of something that was on their list. Whoever was asking would have to acknowledge which of their prior obligations they expected the sailor to bump. The clincher is that new something had to be approved of by Richard. If the requester was okay with those terms, then they would have to go try to make a case for rearranging Richard's sailor's day. Needless to say, his team was rarely derailed by external tasks. I want you to consider taking a similar approach. If you really want to make the priorities you claim a focal point in your life, then keep them written in your planner or in your phone and look at them every day. Think about whether or not you really can and should justify compromising them for any other task when the whirlwind of busyness comes your way again. And it will happen once in a while. Let's be real. Plans cannot always be set in stone, and we all get that. But what we want to look for here are trends. Do you compromise the things you claim as priorities over and over again? If so, it's time to ask yourself if the things you're talking about are really priorities or not. The biggest part of this work is all in reflection. Is there one priority that you seem to compromise the most? Why is that? These are hard truths to face. I personally think that they are best done with a coach, a therapist, a friend, or someone that you can really genuinely and safely talk to and talk through these issues with. So, to wrap it up, get really clear on where you spend your time. See if those actions are in alignment with what you claim your priorities are. If there are any gaps, those just might be the areas that you want to consider for your New Year's resolution. All right, guys, that is all for 2019. Until next year, bye-bye. Hey guys, if you're getting anything out of this show, please head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. I read every single one, and honestly, your feedback is single-handedly what keeps this show going. So go to iTunes and let us know you're listening. Thank you so much for being a part of our community.